Hello friends, it's your boy JJ here. And last week we did a video all about what children eat for lunch in all of the different countries of the world. And by all of the different countries of the world, I of course mean these ones. But luckily I have a very international audience and you guys were able to come to my rescue by providing me with dozens of very interesting examples of the sorts of lunches that children eat everywhere else. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get to it. My friend Tan from Malaysia told me about an iconic lunch combo over there called Nasi Lemak, which he said is a kind of stereotypically cheap and easy thing for kids to eat. Packed in a banana leaf, this classically Malaysian combo meal includes coconut rice, dried anchovies, beans, a boiled egg, and sliced up cucumber. Then to drink, the kids will either have rose syrup milk, or plum juice, or these little yogurt drinks that come in these weird shaped bottles, which are kind of an icon of Malaysian childhoods. Got a lot of comments from my Filipino friends, who I apparently have a lot of. Over there, I was told that kids always bring these subdivided Tupperware containers to school, and they're usually filled with rice and some sort of meat product, like cured beef, fried fish, braised chicken, or somewhat less glamorously, cut up hot dog with ketchup. There would sometimes be some sort of sauteed vegetable side dish as well, such as this one made of scrambled eggs cooked with this thing. Filipino kids love to drink Royale brand soda, which is what they call Fanta over there for some reason. And as a snack, they eat fudgy bars, which come in all sorts of exotic Asian flavors like durian fruit and macapuno. My friend Melanie from Panama sums up a traditional Panamanian lunch this way: a soggy fried carb with a side of some soggy processed meat. The soggy fried carb might be an empanada, which is a kind of doughy thing stuffed with meat or cheese, or Panamanian style tortillas, which is a kind of chubby deep fried cornbread, or maybe Hojaldre, which is a kind of fried dough. And on the side, a fried hot dog and a piece of American cheese. Soggy sounds about right. Lunches in Venezuela and next door Colombia sound a bit similar. My friends from those countries say some of the typical things would include cornbread sandwiches, cheese pastries, and deep fried empanadas, which I assume are slightly less soggy. Over in Haiti, my friend tells me that a typical lunch would be white rice with bean sauce, called, this, and porridge made with mushed up plantains and cinnamon, and coffee to drink, which in Haiti is apparently not considered a weird thing for kids to have. In my first video, I pointed out how North Americans and Western Europeans are very obsessed with eating sandwiches for lunch, but a number of you pointed out that eating sandwiches for lunch is actually very common all over the world. Many of my Australian friends, for instance, noted that Australian children love to eat sandwiches made of Vegemite, which is that beloved Australian yeast slime product. For a snack, it is also apparently quite popular for Australian children to eat small bags of popcorn, or crackers and cream cheese, or uncooked instant noodles straight from the bag. For dessert, meanwhile, they might have a Lamington, which is a kind of Australian cake, or an LCM, which is what they call Rice Krispie Squares, or a Zooper Dooper, which is what they call a freeze pop. Oh, Australia, never change. Some of my Mexican friends noted that in their country, kids often eat sandwiches made of these special buns called bolio. These can be filled with all sorts of stuff, including ham, or beans, or scrambled eggs, or some combination thereof. My friend Sergio says you sometimes even see sandwiches made of chilaquiles, which are a kind of nacho type thing. Yeah, says Sergio, a sandwich made with more carbs inside. I guess that may be a factor in why we are #1 in childhood obesity. Not helping that is all of the sugary fruit juice that the Mexican children drink, which, much like the yogurt drinks of the Malaysians, come in all of these iconic containers. I also heard from many of you that in many parts of the world, they do not make sandwiches with 2 slices of bread, but rather just 1. My Norwegian friend Marit describes a typical Norwegian kid's lunch this way: grainy bread, and at least I used to get 1 slice with yellow cheese that would get sweaty if I had a late lunch, and 1 slice with sweet brown cheese with jam underneath. The whole ordeal is packed in paper, and if you want the authentic experience, you need to write "Have a good day" on the front of it in Sharpie, so the ink seeps through the paper and onto the yellow cheese. My Danish friends described a similar situation over there, with open-faced, grainy bread sandwiches featuring stuff like liver paste, or cucumber, or fish meatballs. Yeah, I'm sure that would catch on with kids here. In Israel, the kids don't tend to eat big lunches, so their version of a sandwich is just a slice of pita bread covered with something like cream cheese, or hummus, or pastrami, or Nutella, or this kind of weird pesto type stuff made of the hyssop plant. My friend Elad tells me that one of the very iconic Israeli lunch snacks for children is just a small loaf of sweet challah bread and a little bag of chocolate milk. Interestingly enough, my friend from Romania tells me that this is a stereotypical minimalist lunch in that country too. My friend Irakali from the country of Georgia, meanwhile, says that their stereotypical lunch things are either a slice of this pastry that is stuffed with sweet red beans, or one of these bread bowl things, which are full of this mix of cheese and egg and butter. I actually tried one of these things when I was at a Georgian restaurant in Israel a few months ago, and I must say, it was like one of the most rich things I've ever eaten in my entire life. So props to the Georgian children for being able to eat this on the regs. My friend Mariam from Pakistan describes the kids in that country as eating pretty well, I would say. My friend says they usually have chicken or beef wraps made from thick paratha bread, beef kebab burgers, or biryani, which is a dish made from curried meat and rice, and of course, mango juice. Mango juice really seems popular with kids everywhere except here. I got some interesting comments from my American friends as well. For example, several of my New England friends pointed out that it is very common over there to have peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwiches. Marshmallow fluff being a very iconic condiment of that part of the country. Several of my American friends also pointed out the role that the thermos plays in American lunch culture. A lot of kids bring an insulated thermos bottle to school filled with chicken noodle soup, or alphabet noodle soup, or some sort of pre-made pasta dish from a can, like SpaghettiOs or ravioli. A lot of American kids also like to eat Lunchables, which are these pre-made little packages of crackers, cheese, and meat slices. These days, the Lunchables Corporation has expanded to all sorts of crazy new territory as well, like Lunchables mini pizzas, or Lunchables tacos, or even Lunchables hot dogs. If you ask me, more countries should embrace this sort of time-saving efficiency. Where's the Lunchables version of that Malaysian thing, for instance? Here in Canada, some of my Quebecer fans, who apparently exist, have called my attention to the stereotypically unhealthy Quebec lunch, which is chips, a can of cola, and these Quebec store-bought snack cakes, usually just made of really sugary dough with icing filling. Quebec lunches are so infamous for being terrible, it has kind of evolved into like an ironic symbol of Quebecer pride. But you know, I think it can also be a sort of mean-spirited stereotype that I'm sure is not even really that accurate anymore. I mean, according to this article, sales of store-bought snack cakes have actually been declining in Quebec in recent years as parents seek out more healthy options. And as we all know, the last thing I would want to do is offend Quebecers. Every Indonesian that I heard from said that their most common lunch tradition is to just leave the school altogether and buy some cool Indonesian street food, such as fish dumplings, omelet on a stick, egg and meat pastries, and for dessert, mini pancakes with chocolate sprinkles. This all sounds pretty good. By the way, is there a reason why we in the West don't have the same sort of robust street food culture as so many countries in Asia do? My one Russian friend estimates that 99% of Russian children eat their lunches in the school cafeteria, although it does sound like the quality of Russian lunches varies a great deal from school to school. At some places, it sounds like they give you fun stuff, like pierogi, which is a bun stuffed with potatoes, veggie, or meat, or pancakes with cream, or these funky Russian hot dog things. But then at other places it sounds like you just get some mashed potatoes, watery fish soup or borscht, and boiled buckwheat, which is what a lot of Eastern Europeans eat instead of rice, and maybe some beef goulash for protein. But what all the Russians seem to agree on is that the most stereotypical Russian lunch drink is either berry juice or hot tea. I still find this whole concept of children having hot drinks really weird. Other countries have interesting cafeteria food as well. My South African friend Mr. Fineapple, for instance, tells me, on a special day like Fridays, parents usually give their children about 20 rand and they can use the money to buy a South African cafeteria specialty called a kota. A kota, from quarter, is a quarter loaf of unsliced bread filled with chips, processed meat, a slice or two of processed cheese, achchar, basically a mango salsa swimming in vegetable oil, and a variety of sauces like tomato sauce and mustard. You might think I'm exaggerating with this cartoon, but if you doubt me, just Google kota for yourself and you will see some truly decadent monuments to gluttony. Not to be outdone, however, my Scottish friend Kian tells me that at their cafeteria they sell deep fried pizza, which is apparently a beloved Scottish food called pizza crunch. Way on the other extreme is Finland, where my friend Kolta says that what they get is just some porridge with jam and a slice of rye bread. That frankly sounds a bit like prison food, but Kolta assures me it is really good. My one friend from Turkey tells me that over there, a typical Turkish cafeteria lunch would be beans and rice, a kebab, and maybe some of these Turkish dumplings with tomato sauce. That may sound delicious, but my friend assures me that the cafeteria does their best to drain all taste and goodness from them. And lastly, I just want to read you this remarkable email that my friend Jamie sent me from Ireland. He says that in his country, they used to have all of these fun Irish snack treats for lunch, but then that had to stop due to the food dudes. The food dudes were meant to be these young, hip, down-with-it youths who ate healthy, and it was cool to eat healthy, so food dudes came into every primary school in Ireland. We would have to bring one new vegetable and fruit in our lunchbox every week to get our reward, which was always something cheap, like a fridge magnet or a stopwatch or stickers or so on. It was awful, I hated it, and so did everyone else. They would also send in little bags like you get at McDonald's of vegetables, which were hard and dry, and we had to eat them. And at the end of the 8 weeks of it, we got a little certificate where it said, "You are a food dude now." But once that stopped, we went back to eating crap. I was watching some of these food dude videos on YouTube, and I must say, they are truly some of the cringiest cringe that ever cringed.
You know what this means, dudes?
It's time to feed the force!
One by one, the dudes eat the fruit and vegetables that give them their fantastic powers.
So yes, I hope you enjoyed this slightly more comprehensive tour of lunches of the world. Apologies if I missed your comment or country. There were just so many good ones, it was hard to include everything. It is really quite amazing how much diversity there is in food culture around the world, although it does seem like one of the great universal themes of life is that children are always dissatisfied with what they're fed for lunch. Let me know in the comments if you have any other good ideas for food culture themed videos I could do in the future. This definitely seems like a pretty rich topic, and I'm not just talking about that Georgian egg dish. I'll let myself out.